I want you to go ahead and head to your tornado safe place. This storm does mean business. This is going to be record-breaking cold, 7 below with wind chills 10 to 25 below.
Let's get the latest from Jacob Wycoff at WBZ TV in Boston. Jacob.
This tropical pattern that's setting up, it's going to have a Florida-like feel for much of the East Coast. There is flash flood watches in effect through the D.C. area into Baltimore and Philadelphia, Harrisburg. You're also under the gun for some flash flooding. There's the rain snow line far to our north and west. A little bit of snow for the greens and the whites, but for us, this is all going to be a rainmaker. I want you to keep Florida in your thoughts and prayers. This was yesterday. Bay News 9 in Tampa Bay, high temperature of 53 degrees, so they needed to dress in layers and limited their time outdoors.
Delivery crew took back the 13,500 extra eggs.
They looked shell-shocked.
Yeah.
But at least they hatched a good plan and they were able to...
Bad yoke, Jacob, bad yoke.
Yeah. Oh.
Just keep it up.
I got nothing.
You're scrambled.
You're scrambled.
Scrambled, yeah.
I can't even.
Could you get this over easy?
Yeah. You got to look at the sunny side of things, you know?
That's true. Okay.
All right, so 7-day forecast looks like this. Kenny, Katie, it's not a real thing, but I'm going to go ahead and issue a sunshine alert for the next couple of days.
And it's day 10 of 10 towns in 10 days, so we are popping the cork at Balderdash Cellars and visiting Pittsfield. We'll have that story and more as 10 towns in 10 days continues.
Meteorologist Jacob Wycoff is tracking the dangerous weather at WBZ TV in Boston. Hi, Jacob. What's the latest?
Well, Rena, as we look at St. Louis's total of almost 10.5 inches, that would bring that storm to one of the top 10 snowstorms in St. Louis recorded history. We also had a foot of snow through Missouri and into Illinois. We have winter storm warnings stretching from St. Louis into Cincinnati, also into the mid-Atlantic. And looking at this storm, it's going to bring some prolonged snow to the mid-Atlantic. So D.C., the I-95 corridor, this will intensify and bring them snow not only throughout the day on Sunday, but also through Monday morning. So not only are we talking about an additional 1 to 3 inches through St. Louis and Chicago, but 6 to 12 inches through the D.C. area, making this the most snow that they've seen in the last 3 years. Rena?
Incredible. Jacob Wycoff. Thank you, Jacob. Millions of Americans from the mid-Atlantic to the northeast are under the threat of severe weather tonight. Let's get the latest from Jacob Wycoff at WBZ TV in Boston. Jacob.
Rena, the jet stream pattern that's setting up is going to keep us in the rainy pattern over the next couple of days, and it also keeps the west under really excessive heat. This tropical pattern that's setting up, it's going to have a Florida-like feel for much of the East Coast. There is flash flood watches in effect through the D.C. area into Baltimore and Philadelphia, Harrisburg. You're also under the gun for some flash flooding. The reason for that, we have this low-pressure center moving right up the Chesapeake Bay, bringing quite a bit of rain. We also have the thunderstorm threat throughout New England heading into Sunday and Monday. The upcoming pattern is one that keeps us with rain Sunday and Monday and throughout the week, and projected rainfall totals could exceed 4 inches in some areas. On the other side of the jet stream, the Dallas Metroplex, you are under an excessive heat warning. Temperatures could exceed 109 heading into Saturday and Sunday. Rena?
Jacob, thank you so much.
Today's Surprise Squad recipient is EJ. She's a very special young girl fighting a very tough illness. So let's go ahead and meet her. Can I get a big hug? How are you, sweetheart? Evelyn is like most 3-year-olds, full of life and energy, but she also has nephrotic syndrome, a chronic rare kidney disease.
It's hard. She's gone through so much. She spent 3 months in the hospital and really came close to losing her life when she was in the hospital. It's not easy to see your kid going through something and then you're helpless.
While in the hospital, Evelyn discovered the power of books. Now that she's out, she wants to give back.
It's a bookshelf and it's in pediatric nephrology with some books, and the patients get to choose one book each month. And so now we just have an ongoing book drive.
Tell me about the bookshelf.
It had a lot of books.
And who are those for?
The other kids.
Evelyn is a big fan of Western Mass News. So after beating me in a few games of Connect 4, we hit the road to visit the newsroom. This is our Western Mass News sign. This is where we do all the news. Pretty cool, right? Evelyn had a blast during her behind-the-scenes tour. How about a big smile right in that camera right there? Cheese. Cheese. She even had the chance to try out the green weather wall. What's the temperature going to be on Thursday?
snowing.
It better not be snowing. It's gonna be 84. Well, there's one more place that I want to show you, okay? All right, so this is a different part of the studio here that we have set up. She's a little shy.
Beautiful day today. Hopefully you got outside because we are in for more.
Yeah, I'm afraid more, but
You're supposed to fill in the blank.
But we got to give Jacob credit, right? So
It was a great day, Jacob.
see, there you go. There's your credit.
Thank you. Appreciate that, guys. We do have a snowstorm that's going to be moving in, and maybe storm is a little bit too strong of a word. We do have some snow that will be moving in late Sunday and into Monday, and the big difference is this is the first all snow event that we've had all season. This isn't going to be one of those that we're tracking a rain snow or rain sleet line. I'll get to that in just a second, but boy, it was a nice day. Temperatures getting into the upper 40s in Boston, mid to upper 30s through the Worcester County area, 38 in Fitchburg. We do have clear skies. We're going to stay clear into tonight and into much of the day tomorrow. There's our next storm system out in the Great Plains and the Midwest making its way towards us. So here's how it plays out. We do have high pressure that's keeping us high and dry initially for tomorrow. By about midnight, we're seeing some of those first snowflakes falling, and we're going to keep snow in the forecast throughout the day on Monday. It's going to be kind of that light conversational snow. Does accumulate, but it doesn't amount to too much. And then you see that rain snow line to our south, so we're not worried about that as far as maybe messing up some of our accumulation totals. And then on the backside of this, we start to see some dry air move in for Tuesday. Then Wednesday night and into Thursday, another storm system moves in. This is much like what we had on Tuesday of last week with that kind of slop that moved on in, the rain, the sleet, the snow. That's kind of the same sort of progression that we're going to see with this upcoming storm for Thursday. This week, though, unlike the last couple of vacation weeks, we're not going to be on the warm side. We had record warmth the last 2 vacation weeks. This week, it's looking like it's going to be a below average week for our temperatures, and that's kind of setting the stage for those events, those storms to move in and bring us some snow. 20 for an overnight low in Boston. Teens as you go north and west of town. Tomorrow, back to the sunshine initially, building the clouds later in the afternoon and evening. And then by the time we get into the evening, we see those clouds finally make way to the first flurries moving on in midnight. We'll call it 6 a.m., 7 a.m., seeing those flurries kind of breaking up a little bit, but still in the forecast throughout the afternoon and evening. Not amounting to much in the evening, but still, you will be seeing some of those flurries. So here's our first take at our snowfall forecast. We're thinking 2 to 4 inches. We'll call it, generally speaking, the Mass Pike South. North of town, a little bit less, up to about 2 inches in those areas. And then with this upcoming storm, the big concern, not only is it going to be the rain, the snow, the sleet, but also the coastal impacts that come with this. This storm on Thursday is going to tap into some of the highest high tides of the year. Without the storm, it would probably cause some minor coastal flooding. You add that consistent onshore flow, you're talking about likely some coastal flooding. Here's your 7-day forecast. We don't really get back to the 40s until we get to Friday and Saturday of next week, and we have those 2 events, Monday and Thursday.
We continue our team coverage here in the studio where our weather team has been tracking all of today's weather and those storms.
Meteorologist Jacob Wycoff joins us now. And Jacob, an unusual month for a tornado and also an unusual time of day.
Yeah, this hit downtown Webster at 10 a.m. We were tracking this circulation as it was in northeast Connecticut. It crossed over the border into south central Massachusetts, impacting Dudley on its way in towards Webster. And by 10 a.m., it was crossing over that 395 corridor on its way towards Sutton. The good thing is it lifted before it did make an impact to that small town as well. Now, we did have actually 2 confirmed tornadoes. The long one was actually the Dudley to Webster tornado. That was an EF1 with wind 100 to 110 miles per hour. We also had a smaller one in Woodstock, Connecticut, EF0. Notice the width in the path, very, very small. Still did a little bit of damage to some cornfields and also an oak tree. 2018 has been an interesting year for New England tornadoes. 3 tornadoes in New Hampshire, 3 in Mass, and 6 as you go into Connecticut. Compare that to Oklahoma. We are at the same number as Oklahoma, and it has been an interesting year for Massachusetts tornadoes. In fact, we had some 10 days ago, and this setup that we just had is eerily similar.
Now at 4, eye-opening. That's what the new climate research released by UMass Amherst scientists is being described as. Well, what are they learning? About temperature change over hundreds of years, all from the bottom of a pond. Meteorologist Jacob Wycoff has more on how this changes the way we look at the climate in the Northeast.
New England's history is rich, dating back hundreds and hundreds of years. Temperature data, however, is a lot harder to come by. Records only stretch back 150 years or so.
New England is a really important area to understand the climate history of, and unfortunately there don't exist very many records of temperature that go back past the instrumental record from New England.
For the first time in the Northeast, researchers from UMass Amherst have put together a high-resolution temperature record dating back 900 years. The team traveled to a small pond in southern Maine to collect sediment from the lake bottom.
Cores are built up of the sediment that accumulates year after year at the lake bed. We're able to drill through that and then recover these long records that indicate how the sediment has changed through time.
Much like ice cores trap carbon dioxide or tree rings show rainy or dry weather, the sediment cores contain membrane lipids from bacteria. By measuring those lipids, a correlation can be made to temperatures. The findings from the team have been somewhat unexpected.
Temperatures have been fluctuating, but mostly cooling over the last 900 years. And so now that we're seeing warming in the last 150 years, it shows us that really the human impact has been to reverse a long-term ongoing trend that the ecosystems were able to slowly adapt to.
While teams around the world are using similar methods, UMass researchers say it's important to have a data point in our own backyard.
It's useful to be able to have data from all of these different places to see sort of more, from this regional scale that we've developed for New England, how that fits into the picture for our country and also for the world.
Who could have imagined mud would make our climate pass a little less, well, muddy? From the campus of UMass Amherst, I'm meteorologist Jacob Wycoff.
As far as the future for the project, researchers say they have more mud and are able to go back even further. They say the lake itself dates back about 12,000 years.